Boy, let me tell you what, am I glad Hot Ones is back. I'm so happy Hot Ones is back. Good morning, happy Friday, everybody. If you couldn't tell, my high from yesterday is the fact that Hot Ones is back. It is awesome. It is great to see Sean Evans back. You know, being the best cornerman in the game. Love Hot Ones, man. Love Hot Ones. Can't wait to talk about it more. Do I have a low? You know what? My low is that yesterday seemed it seemed to drag on forever. You know what I mean? Like, there are long days, and then there are long days. And yesterday definitely felt like the latter. My act of kindness was I held the door for somebody. Yay. Okay, so let's go back to Hot Ones. We get my notes out, because that's what we do. We get my notes out. Okay. So, oh, darn, I forgot what he was promoting. What Jason Segel was. Shrinkage? Or shrinked? Hold on. Shrinking. That's what it was. It was shrinking. Right. So that was actually that's what he's promoting. In fact, the very first question of Hot Ones Sean asked was, what he learned because in the show Shrinking, he plays a therapist. And so, Sean asked him what he's learned from playing a therapist. And here's the thing, and I found this quite interesting. Because, I do therapy, and, it's definitely something that I've noticed myself. It's, obviously people go to therapy to, talk about their issues, find some sort of guidance, get advice, which is the main thing you do. But there are also people that are like, what am I going to do tomorrow? And that's what therapists hear all the time. And yeah, it's wish fulfillment is what it is. Like people don't know what to do, so they think that talking to someone will help them find the answer, which is very true. And I think that's really interesting that he picked up on that. He talked about how some of the most dramatic, they talked about what we call it dramatic comedies, where like some of the most hilarious moments ever are also scenes that are very dramatic, as well as some of the most dramatic scenes are also quite funny. There's a nice little contrast there. I like that. When you think about it, comedy does pair with a lot of different types of genres. We all know it pairs well with action. We all know that. Romantic comedy, rom-coms. There's a few horror comedies out there for sure. Sci-fi comedy, I think that's also a thing kind of. And you never really hear dramatic comedy very often, do you? But yeah, that is actually how I would describe it. Like, some of the most funny moments you see are in scenes are also very dramatic and vice versa. I think it's really cool. He talked about back when he worked as an usher at the Santa Monica Playhouse. He talked about advice that Judd Apatow gave him, which, if you don't know, Judd Apatow, one of the best directors in Hollywood. And how Judd Apatow gave him two things of advice. Because for one episode of Freaks and Geeks that Jason Segel was in, he had to learn how to play guitar and write a song in like 5 days. And then Judd just confidently said, "You'll figure it out." And yeah, we did figure it out. And also to write your own material, which that's also true. I mean, your material is yours, and therefore it would make sense that, you would be confident in what you write about. So that's really cool. Let's see what else. Oh, this was hilarious. So on Wing 5, he talked about how whether or not this was true or false. The true or false section. The first one that was true or false was, did his mom send out a mass email to his family in regards to the nude scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall? And that is actually true. Because here's the thing. Jason Segel didn't want his mom to know about that until, his parents were in the theater at the premiere seeing him. And, he's sitting between, his mom and his dad. And, they see the scene. And his mom, he turns around, looks at his mom, and his mom is, shocked. Like, she had to leave the room for a bit. And, when she came back, and she's like, "Why didn't you tell me you had a nude scene?" Because I thought it'd be funny. Full lie, that's actually the sort of thing I would do to my mom. I would totally do something along those lines. I don't know if I'd get full on nude, but I would do something elaborate that would just shock her. That I think would be funny, but she necessarily didn't. And then they also talked about how for test screens, Forgetting Sarah, one kid walked, I forget what the situation was, but a kid said he liked the movie, but he didn't like his face. I mean, that's actually, look, kids do not have any filters. They don't. I take it from me, when I first learned how to swear, I did not stop swearing for 3 months. I was dropping bad words left and right. And I was in my late teens. I would like to say I was a very, very good child, in that regard. But even if you take, swearing and bad words aside, kids have no filters. In fact, you know what? Shannon Sharp, shout out to Shannon Sharp, once said that there's 3 kinds of people who will always be honest with you. Angry people, children, and drunks. What's funny is it actually is possible for all 3 of those to coincide. Okay. Right. Where was I? Right. They talked about if you could come up with the double feature of Peter Sellers movies, what would they be? It'd be Being There and, just for contrast, The Pink Panther. Okay. Let's see. He talked about how he had to gain 50 pounds, and so he ate like a Hot Pocket every 3 hours. And he said that the best is the OG pepperoni pizza Hot Pocket, which before I continue on, I have to say this because one of my all-time favorite comedic bits ever is when comedian Jim Gaffigan is talking about Hot Pockets. And I personally, because of that, will never eat a Hot Pocket. Ever. I don't want to give away. Look at it. It's on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. You can totally check it out. After you check out this video, of course. Shameless plug. Anyway. So, listen, if you want to gain weight by eating bad food every 3 hours, okay, but really? Hot Pockets of all things? I don't know. Jim Gaffigan would have had a field day with that. Also, they talked about the all-time favorite food scene that he worked were like all the toasts that were in the movie I Love You Man. Let's see what else. Which I'm so glad they mentioned I Love You Man. I said this in a short the other day. I Love You Man is on my Mount Rushmore of romantic comedies, and yeah, it totally that totally fits. Obviously, Jason Segel also worked on the Muppets, and as a Muppet fan, and even like Kermit the Frog is actually one of Jason Segel's comedic inspirations. That says a lot, actually. And Shia, like, who's the most underrated Muppet? And it's Janice, one of the girl Muppet that's in the band. Because Miss Piggy gets all the spotlight, but no one ever pays attention to Janice. And they also talked about how because Jason Segel also helped write the Muppets, the movie, and he thought, and Shania's like, is there any scene that got lost because of standards and like he can't, and there was actually a lost scene where at the end the bad guy was going to be disguised as Kermit the Frog, and it was a way to bring all the Muppets back together, which actually sounds like a very sweet idea, but they didn't go with it because Kermit the Frog never lies. Huh. That's actually, like, the more I think about it, I can't recall any scene I've ever seen Kermit the Frog in where he ever told a lie. Like, he was always honest. Like, I must have seen the movie Muppet Treasure Island the entire times, and like, that's easily Kermit at his like most honest when reacting to things. Like, I need to do another video about Muppet Treasure Island at some point. Between me and a friend of mine, we could probably quote that whole movie. I love the Muppets. The Muppets are great. He talked about Dr. Dunk and how Jason Segel won a slam dunk contest where he had a guy like pull the jersey over his face and spin it around like a bunch of times, and he pretended he was all dizzy, and then he did a dunk on that, and then he got the name Dr. Dunk. That's really cool. And for the last dab, Sean asked him, in what thing you've ever done have you felt the most at home at, and what have you felt the most nervous about? And he felt the most at home in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. His most nervous? Doing Hot Ones, which, yeah, that's very much understood. Seriously, you would be, if I had $1 for every time, actually, it really wouldn't be a rich person, but I would have definitely a lot of dollars if I got one for every time anyone said they were nervous on Hot Ones. And I'd be honest, if I myself was ever on Hot Ones, I'd be nervous too. And I could just see Sean Evans asking me, how do you feel going into the Wings of Death? Ooh. What if I give this away right now? And so if one day, by some crazy random act of God, I'm ever on Hot Ones, Sean asked me this or anything, I would have spoiled it for all of you. Ooh. I will say this though. I would definitely be nervous, but I would be okay with that. And there are 2 reasons why. I'm not going to give away what they are though. But I would be okay with being nervous. Because, that's just me. But yeah, man, first episode of season 29, first episode of 2026. I mean, it was great. Jason Segel did a great job going through the gauntlet. I mean, even when he got to like the bomb, you know, I think he did a pretty solid job keeping his composure. At least I think so. Honestly, you know what? He did. Yeah, I'll defend. He did do a good job keeping his composure because that was the Muppet thing. You know, the Kermit Never Lies part. Yeah. Trying to go over if there's anything I missed. Now I just can't help but think of what my mom would do if she saw me do anything like the nude scene for getting Sarah Marshall. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure outside of actually they never talked about How I Met Your Mother very much in this episode. I mean, I can see why, because even though it's been a good long time since that series ended, there's a lot of people that are still really annoyed about the ending, which I totally understand. I mean, and he did mention, and Sean Evans did mention that he was on How I Met Your Mother. But in terms of like the question, Sean, they never talked about How I Met Your Mother. Again, I get why. But, you know what? Why question it? You know, you only get 10 wings on Hot Ones. Only 10 questions Sean's going to ask. It's very clear that with each episode, Sean Evans, you know, thinks, well, I'm sure it's Sean Evans and a few of the other staff, like they think of these questions very carefully and methodically. And that's how you get the Hot Ones episode in question. But this was a great Hot Ones episode. Honestly, I'm really happy Hot Ones is back, and considering how cold the weather is about to be, I could use something that involves hot stuff. I hope you like this video. If you like, share our YouTube channel, follow on social media. As always, I'm very home this video for all of you guys watching. Enjoy everything. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, if you guys want to talk channels, we're here to lend you always back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.